All right. Hello. Hi. Good morning. If you're seeing me still cruising around Europe, then you know you have gotten into Black Man Spy really at Warcast. Actually, it is day 144, not day 143. I did not write down that note yesterday. The United States and Iran are essentially back at day zero in this war. Or if we want to go be formal about it, day six in this war. We had an enormous amount of activity last night, a lot of activity. So we're going to focus today almost exclusively on the actions that happened on the battlefield and throughout and across the Persian Gulf, and then we'll go into the analysis of that later. But first, let me introduce you to Jacob Karsbo, Danish intelligence officer extraordinaire, coming from his vacation home in Jutland. Hello, Jacob.
Hello, how are you doing?
We're fine. There's a little delay as it's going all around the world with this podcast. I'm in Central Europe. Jacob's in Central Europe. I'm perhaps on the eastern side. We'll see. And Wajeeh is in Minnesota. Wajeeh, the gay lion, hailing from Minnesota, Saudi geopolitical intelligence analyst, and the only one who isn't a spy on this show. But that's what we need. We always need somebody who knows a lot, who can check our asses and give us information that we don't really understand from a cultural perspective, or to expand on those cultural perspectives to our followers. Wajeeh, how are you?
Good morning, Chief. I'm all right. Thank you very much for asking. How are you?
Man, hot. It's hot here. And here's the kicker.
It's hot.
It's not just hot. It's hot everywhere. It was hot in the middle of the goddamn night when I had to deal with, of course, again, getting up at 1 a.m. because my phone was dinging off the hook, right? Because U.S. strikes, Iranian strikes. U.S. strikes started right after this show yesterday. They struck during the daytime yesterday afternoon, 2 p.m. Eastern time. They started striking all across Iran, which is late evening. You know, I mean, 2 p.m. It's late evening. It's 8 p.m., 9 p.m. out there. So they're getting their licks in, and attacks went all the way through the night in the Persian Gulf, well into the early morning hours in the Persian Gulf. And again, our sixth day of continuous fighting, which is day 144, but we could call day 6.2 or 6.0 in this war. So, but as we allow people to spool up, we are, I'm still seeing starting. Are you guys seeing a number of
We're
followers?
live.
Because okay. Let me know when we reach 1,000, because I'm using broadband Wi-Fi here in Europe. As you can see, I'm reporting from the luxurious
We're at
digs of
796.
okay. From the luxurious digs of a Mercedes-Benz CLA 250 Plus, which is nice because I wish I had driven this car before I bought my newest car. This is pretty luxurious, but you know what? Not everybody can afford these digs. So that being said, I notice you guys have coffee mugs. Jacob, what are you sporting there?
I've
I
got
just had a kid next to me just smashed
IKEA.
my car.
What?
I just hit my car with
Oh no!
a door. So
I was yeah.
Go ahead, non-IKEA mug. You have what?
Yeah, the
One that wasn't
non-IKEA
bought
mug.
at IKEA? Oh, it's another.
It wasn't
IKEA.
bought in IKEA, I promise you.
Okay. It's from Vacation Land. All right.
Yeah.
And Wajeeh, how about you?
Oh, I'm just having my regular handmade, but I'm also a Mercedes guy. My first car was Mercedes. My dad's favorite car was Mercedes. Grew up in a Mercedes household. So I see you, Jacob, driving a BMW. That's a very expensive girlfriend.
But I just sold my Mercedes, so yeah, it's BMW now.
So he could get another BMW.
Oh, that's right.
We know what's going on here. All right. So that being said, which is now becoming my favorite phrase on this show, right? That's our transition phrase. I do not have a coffee mug, but I do have a giant bottle of cold water, which I need. I have to stay loose. I have to stay hydrated when it comes out to, dealing with what's going on in the war. Because I am telling you, flying all yesterday. We are, I got to tell you something. The pause in the tempo of combat appears to be about 4 to 5 hours. And that's when during the daylight hours, usually from about 9 a.m., the last Iranian strikes hit after they fired Shahed drones, till about 2, 3 p.m. in the afternoon, things
After
settle
we
down
finish
a
the
little.
show.
And I think, yeah, of course, after we finish the show. And usually the period after the show is when Trump starts making crazy, stupid comments, and those fill the information space in the news media in between A and B. So that being said, let's take a look at what is going on. I call today War Crimes Friday because the United States decided that they would rather risk the possibility of war crimes than show some restraint. A lot of activities yesterday. The United States is calling them dual purpose attacks. It affects the Iranian people. And every time Donald Trump says, I'm doing this to hurt the Iranians to bring them to negotiating table, blowing up a bridge and killing civilians on it, or blowing up power plants and cutting off power to cities, that kills civilians. Okay?
Uh-huh.
And let's start out with what happened yesterday.
And just a point on that, Malcolm. As we said the other day, bridges can be military targets, but when you're not
they can.
fighting an active war with the front line, etc., it's not as if the Iranians are transporting, military equipment around and bringing it to the front, etc., etc. No, this is something completely different. So that is why these strikes, that is actually a military or a civilian target.
Well, the bridges weren't the only thing that was hit. They also hit electric
That's
lights.
what I'm getting to. Let's talk about what was hit yesterday. Let's go in detail. I have it right here. The primary thing that was most noteworthy is the United States struck bridges and power plants yesterday. Now, it was not the full-scale campaign Trump is threatening for Monday, but I think he's using this strategy of sort of sealing off Bandar Abbas in the Strait of Hormuz to justify what he hit. But he only hit one bridge down in the Bandar Abbas area. It was a primary bridge that comes to Bandar Abbas. But that now means no trade can be done. Fish can't be bought from the market. And if you say, okay, it was a line of communication, we had to bring that down for military purposes. Of course, this is what we have lawyers in the military for. And you come up with the reasons about what those purposes are. Unfortunately for Trump, he disbanded that office. And what they're doing is they're saying that they did not take care about this. They did not see the judge advocate general or the lawyers' assessments of this. They're going by the Hegseth assessment, which was, does it impact the enemy's warfighting? Yeah, well, genocide impacts the enemy's warfighting, right? If you kill all the civilians, then you won't have anybody to support the combat forces. So, that sort of interpretation is a little screwy, but apparently they are starting to step up to it. And yesterday the United States struck 3 bridges, okay? And the bridges that they struck were one, a bridge that was leading into from Bandar Abbas to the city of Lar, and it was a primary bridge from a primary city to a secondary city. The problem with that is now they think they're pushing all of the traffic, heavy traffic, onto the roadways along the coast in which they can surveil and carry out more strikes. But what they're actually doing is they're dispersing all of these trucks and cars and things individually out into the ether, right? But I'm sure there's some, I'm sure the strike planners were like, well, we will bottle them up. Trucks can't come over quickly down to Bandar Abbas. That's not the problem. Country can flow trucks with drones, cruise missiles. They don't have to be in Bandar Abbas, right? Soldiers don't have to be in Bandar Abbas. They can all come in their privately owned vehicles from all over the place, right? Anti-ship missiles can be fired from 150 kilometers, west of the Strait of Hormuz. I'm sorry, east of the Strait of Hormuz, south of the Strait of Hormuz, north of the Strait of Hormuz. If you fire them at their extreme range, you could fire them 700 kilometers away, right? 400 miles, 500 miles. Logic? Not quite sure of it, but I think what they're doing is, quite simply, responding strictly to Donald Trump's order to impact just the Strait of Hormuz and the Iranian ports in the Indian Ocean, because that's what they hit. The second bridge they hit was called in Garvin. That was actually up in the northwest of Iran. Go figure. And then they hit a bridge in Hormuzgan province, which may have been a secondary bridge that led traffic down towards Chabahar, Jask, and Bandar Abbas. They hit a rail line and a rail bridge going from Bandar Abbas to a place called Shahid Wajeeh. And they are clearly, with these attacks yesterday, which is all the news media is talking about, this is the United States stepping up another step into the escalation ladder. The problem that I have is I know what they're doing. They think this is going to bring the Iranians to the table. Oh, Mr. Trump, you are destroying our bridges. We are so afraid. We are coming to negotiate with you, and we will open the Strait of Hormuz. Good God, he lives in a delusional fantasy world. If this is where his head is, and this is where his head is. Jacob.
Yeah, precisely.
What do you think?
It's just, gunning up on the whole pattern of the war that started 144 days ago and went on for the first, 47 days? And
40.
It's repeat the same, and then you expect a different outcome.
Isn't that definition of madness?
And it is. It very much is.
Yeah, well, that's the definition of madness. So that being that, I'm not gonna transition like that. Next item to be hit was the port of Chabahar on the far eastern border between Pakistan and Iran. Chabahar port has been hit many times, but apparently strike planners have been given orders to knock down the 7-story port control tower that was built there by, I'm sure, with American support in the 1970s, right when the Shah of Iran was there. This is a harbor control tower. It's made 7 stories high of reinforced concrete rebar. It's 3 levels in there that has sleeping levels. I'm sure a shopette and a cafe, and where all the port harbor controllers were at. They hit this at the beginning of the war. They hit this the first couple of weeks ago. They hit this a couple of days ago, and now they've hit it for the third time. The third time in a week. Only today, they leveled the tower. The tower was broken in half and completely collapsed to the ground. Now, the fuck didn't this happen in the first week of the war? What were you guys doing? Right? It makes you wonder, How did this war get so screwy? Right? That they're like, hey, you know what? That tower there. Now, I want to caution you to something. Wajeeh, Jacob, let's give this a minute's analytical process.
Yeah.
What would be the purpose of knocking down the harbor tower when they could just sit in their cars, right, at the end of the pier or
Yeah.
on top of the snack bar in
Yeah.
folding chairs and an umbrella with
Yeah.
radios and go, Tanker Luxury 7, you're free to enter harbor, pilot, come out now. What would be the purpose of this? And there's one that I think is very interesting we should pay attention to. So go ahead. What do you guys think?
Well, I
Well, I
still
think.
think they're.
Go ahead,
Go
Wachi.
ahead. I think that they're gonna go to try to figure a way to get to Quiche and taking out these pillars or these ports one by one is step one. So it's harder for these. Well, they I guess they still have the mountains. Well, I don't know. I'm just thinking that would be one of the steps to get to Quiche.
Jake? Oh, no, not to Quiche. This
No.
is in Chabahar. Quiche is like 300 miles away to the north.
It's
Well,
over at the near the Pakistani border.
Pakistan
Uh,
border. Check the map.
yeah. I mean,
Jacob, what do you think?
yeah, I think the impact is extremely limited, as you say. They, much of what they can do from that tower, they can do anyhow. Um, Perhaps the U.S. Blockade goes from
Mm-hmm.
Chabahar. You can go, east near the Pakistani border, exactly where you're showing Wajeeh, and
ooh, I think
Yeah,
that's
maybe,
where
the
the
red
Iranians are
right?
maybe
That's it right
getting
there.
their oil. No,
but I,
not where they're.
I think
It's
it's
one of the oil ports.
extremely limited, the impact, to be honest.
All right. Well, I'm going to give you my assessment because it's more tactical. That tower was 7.5 stories tall. The radar was smashed. The radios were smashed. Everything was smashed. My assessment is they are shaping the battlefield for a potential amphibious demonstration into Chabahar. It's the furthest away from any IRGC support. It's the furthest away from missiles. It's the furthest away from ballistic missiles. And if you wanted to land 200 Marines there, one thing you don't want is you don't want a visual observation post that's 7 stories high looking down past 13 nautical miles into the ocean. That's my
Yeah.
assessment, is that they're probably assessing several sites along the Iranian border. And I wrote about this 1 week into the war, that the United States would probably use Marines because Hegseth would go, we need to get some of these boots on the ground, but not for a long time. Let's just go in and blow up some stuff, what we call an amphibious raid or an amphibious demonstration, and withdraw.
Yeah.
I heard you talk about that with Marian Nofel 2 days ago. Well, we couldn't hear anything you said.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Malcolm is out.
could you try that again? Mute and unmute yourself.
Jacob, I'm sorry, can you hear me? I froze a little.
Now we can hear you.
Now
Yes.
you're
Could
good.
could you repeat yourself, please?
Well, all I said in the end is that this would be shaping an operation for an amphibious demonstration or amphibious raid, getting rid of that 7-story tower. So at 7 stories, you can see to the water horizon. The horizon where the earth curves is usually 12 to 14 nautical miles, depending on the clarity of it. However, if they bring an amphibious ship within 15 to 17 nautical miles, they'll see the tippy top of it over the water. That's called a sail, right? And they may be dropping off landing craft 20 miles out, and they don't want anybody observing it. Chabahar isn't as hilly and mountainous as as Bushir, I'm sorry, Bandar Abbas, Jas, and these others. But it's just a guess. Or they were bored and they said, hey, we told you guys to knock that building out and it's still standing. We want to see it fall Israeli style.
So
Always a
it's
possibility.
performative. Nevertheless, it's largely performative because a marine landing and then withdrawal wouldn't really change anything. They're probably living this fantasy that it would change the Iranian calculus, but it wouldn't.
Well,
No.
apparently, and again, I know there's a lot of people who are critics of Michael Cohen, but Michael Cohen's article about how Trump negotiates is very accurate, and where he could not live with himself of the Iranians defying his offer, right?
Yeah.
And then the money people and Netanyahu got to him and said, they're getting out better on the deal than you. So Trump's philosophy was, according to Cohen, never punish bad behavior. So he saw the attacks on the tankers as them skirting the deal, and he decided to punish them. And every step, even though it just gets rid of the deal, breaks the flow of oil, Trump's pathopsychology cannot allow it. It cannot allow this to continue. And so he would rather go to full-scale fucking war, right, than to allow the Iranians to have attacked those two ships and broken the windows on the bridge. And then that put us into the cycle of stupid, which is now leading to each escalatory step.
Yeah.
Okay, here are the targets the United States struck last night while you were sleeping. They struck Chabahar, Konarak. Tell me if these aren't all the same. Chabahar, Konarak, Bandari Jas, Sirik, Bandar Abbas, Kishem Island, Lavan Island, where else? Bandar Lenge, Bushir, and then some new ones. New phase of the war is they apparently are pushing in about 100 miles. So the first 6 days has been along the coast. Now they're pushing inward. They hit these towns that were inward. Hamadiyya, which is northwest of Bandar Abbas. Wajeeh, if you could bring that map up, that'd be helpful. Northwest of Bandar Abbas Port, about 100 miles. Hamadiyya. Okay, and then they hit a place called Iran Shah, which is northeast of Bandar Abbas, another 100 miles or so, right? Okay, northwest of Bandar Abbas, that's the upper left from Bandar Abbas. Keep going up. There's the city of Hamadiyya. He'll get it. Upper
This
left.
direction.
I don't even
So, left. Just show us Bandar Abbas.
Bandar Abbas is down here.
Okay, now put your pen going at a 45-degree angle up to the left. There, up, stop, back a little more. Back down a little. Back down. A little more to the right. Right. That's Hamadiyya's there. There you go. That's where they blew up the bridge. They struck the area of Hamadiyya, and then do that same thing to the right of Bandar Abbas. Iran Shah is over there. I got to get home and get you guys on the real map. So that's where Iran Shah, they struck Iran Shah Airport, which is a tiny secondary airport in Iran, but I'm sure they blew up the fuel tanks and the radar as usual. They hit that place 3 times, according to this. So Bandar Lenge, another town called Bustan, up in the northwestern part of the Strait of Hormuz. So if you could zoom that whole thing out, get us to where we could. No, the northwest, top of the Persian Gulf. Wajeeh, top of the Persian Gulf. There you go.
Okay.
At the top, up there a little further, is Ahvaz, which is just to the northeast, and Bustan. Bustan, Ahvaz got hit three times, 6 times. 6 different targets in that area. So they are hitting all along that coast, but they are moving deeper inland, right? Which is part of the strategy Trump is trying to do, which is elevate the stakes each time. Will it be successful? I don't know. Probably not. He expects them
Probably.
to come in and negotiate because he's pressuring them. And every day, someone is telling him the Iranians are this close to collapsing. They have tears in their eyes. They're saying, we can't feed our children. We can't get Ovaltine or coffee. Oh, Mr. Trump, let us go.
They're
No,
begging
that's
for
not happening.
mercy. They want a deal.
Begging
They're
for
calling
mercy.
me every day.
Every day he lies like a rug. He said it again yesterday. The Ayatollah called him and said, we want a deal, but I said no deal.
But hey,
Okay.
5 days ago he said the Ayatollah was 90% dead. He said that. This is a quote. 90% he's not here anymore. He said that.
Okay. How many Mitch McConnells is that? Is that like 9 Mitch McConnells out of 10, or is it a full Lindsey Graham? I'm sorry, my phone is bouncing around because my tripod, I left it somewhere. But 9 out of 10 Lindsey Graham, Mitch McConnells. He's got the full McConnell. We're 90% sure he's not alive. Okay.
You know, when I saw the picture of Mitchie with his wife, the last one, the first thing that popped to my head is when people in the old days would take a picture of a dead person and like put makeup on their face and change it. That's the first thing that popped in my head.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
For me, it's more like Yeltsin. It's more when they kept Yeltsin alive for years and years, even though he was more dead than Mitch McConnell, I'd say.
Yeah, brain dead.
Yeltsin was really kept afloat somehow.
Okay, let's transition. So after the Iranians got struck, the Strait of Hormuz yesterday, it is really shut down. I mean, it is really shut down. The Strait of Hormuz, she is closed, boss. Closed, too much closed. Many closed. It is
Many
not
closed.
Open. Three tankers went through yesterday. 3 tankers. There has not been a very large crude carrier in 4 days. And the last ones that did get through, Iran struck them with cruise missiles and set them afire. So as not to be outdone.
In total, it was 13 ships that passed, 10 through the Iranian
and 3,
and then 3 sneaking out.
Sneaking out, one of which got hit with a cruise missile. The UK Maritime Trade Office reports that a ship which passed through the American traffic separation scheme, or as I'm going to refer to it as this point on, as I was going to say something even naughtier. I'm going to refer to it as the Hegseth bottom. So, the Hegseth bottom. And then I can call it the Hegseth bottom. And then when you get out on the eastern side of the southern traffic separation scheme and you get attacked by Iranian shipped missiles, right? We're going to call that the rectum passage. So, or the bay of Wrexham. Rectum. All right, rectum.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we got to have our laughs here.
Particularly easy penetrations,
That's right. The
particularly easy
penetrations.
Okay.
Open. So when he says the Strait of Hormuz is open, he really means the Hegseth bottom is wide open. Right.
Well, he's down. Now he's doing mandatory testosterone testing. So.
Oh my God. All right. So the tanker was hit east of Kasab, that's just just north of the United Arab Emirates Oman border, north of Fujairah. As soon as it got down there, they've got to have that thing mapped. They're just like, hey, any ship that comes down there, they must have a visual observer, a goat herder on the hillside on the Omani side who'd be like, hey, big tanker chief. And that missile comes flying out. We'll have one out to you in 30 minutes. No problem. This one appears to have been a drone as opposed to an anti-ship missile. It carried out modest damage to the superstructure. It still has power. Crew is fine and continuing on to Fujairah with damage. Next, Iran, to make it clear, Iran used drones to knock out another 2 radars that belong to Oman. The first one was Coin Island, right? Coin Island, right, which is also known as Salama Island. When you go all the way to the tippy tip of the Musandam Peninsula, there are 3 islands that go out like a tip tail. The top one's Coin Island. That's an Omani Coast Guard station. They have a surface search radar there. They had a surface search radar, one that tracks ships, until yesterday. The other one was at down near Kumzar. That's the big station that has a big radar. That's been knocked out too. They also
are you talking over here?
Right there. Go zoom in, baby. Zoom in to the tippy tip. Keep zooming. Too much zooming. More zooming. Wait. Back. Too much zoom. That's it. Right there where your fingers are around it. That's Coin Island. All right. It's just at the bottom of the original traffic separation scheme. They knocked out the ship radar, detection radar, the surface search radar with a drone. Then they knocked out an air search radar for the Omani Air Force further down near Corfacan, I believe. We shall check. As if that wasn't enough, merchant ship yesterday was contacted and hailed by the U.S. Navy and instructed, instead of going to the Iranian traffic separation scheme, to turn south and go to the Hegseth Bottom, right? So, that actually is a technically sound term because it is very shallow. And when you hit the bottom, it's called a bottom, right? When you scrape when you hit rock bottom,
very shallow.
The Hegseth Bottom could be interpreted as a place of very shallow waters as ordered by Pete Hegseth. Or when Pete Hegseth does this and gets to the bottom, right? Or Hegseth's ass, because that's about as accurate a statement as we get. And that leads to the rectum. I'm going to call it Rectum Bay. All right, because all these ships keep getting attacked around the same place, Rectum Bay. They not only wrecked him, they tore his ass up. So anyway, that being said, this merchant ship was called by the U.S. Navy and instructed, this is U.S. Navy warship. The southern transit of the Strait of Hormuz is opened for all shipping. Blah, blah, blah. And the merchant ship responded back, fuck you, U.S. Navy. He's like, I ain't getting a missile into me. I ain't getting beat. I'm not getting attacked. That is not happening. Not happening. Right? Good man. These guys, they're not playing games. Not playing games. Okay.
He said, hell to the no. To the
no. Missiles are not on the menu on this ship. They're not on the menu for people's. Okay, I can understand that. That takes some grace. Okay, so that is over. No, one last thing. The sanctions breaking ship Wen Yao. A very particular sanctions breaking ship because it not only just breaks sanctions, it actually carries Iranian flags, Chinese flags, and multiple flags that they will run up depending on the circumstance. So the Wen Yao was flying Iranian flags as it was coming out of the traffic separation scheme. and then pulled it down and started flying a Liberian flag or something when U.S. Marines boarded it to do a visit. And they did a visit, and the ship had enough slick documentation, but not enough. The United States turned it back onto its course. So that's the kind of interdiction we're doing
Was
right
that
now.
inbound? Was that inbound?
That was outbound, I believe.
That was outbound.
No.
Okay.
It was outbound. So
Okay.
blockade in effect. You go back to Iran.
Yeah.
Okay, next.
But that's actually signs that the U.S. Navy is changing something, because they're also trying to block inbound traffic. And why do they put an effort into that? Because Iran wants to bring tankers back for floating storage. When they could market 80 million barrels of crude during the ceasefire. So they're trying to do a repeat of that, and I've seen signs that the U.S. Navy is trying to avoid Iranian inbound traffic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, interesting. And I wouldn't doubt it for
that
one
at
second.
least makes some sense, I have to say.
Well, when you consider the U.S. Navy can't really go into the Strait of Hormuz, so they do all their activities in the northern Indian Ocean. If you're coming back, they turn you around. If you're coming out, they turn you around. Okay, fine. You guys think the Iranians can't take this? That's Trump. Where Trump got into his head that the blockade was like, wow, doing the best. That guy is on drugs. It's like, yeah, it's doing the best at collapsing the global economy. So that was the activity of the United States in the Strait of Hormuz. But Malcolm, that's only half the day. What happened the rest of the night? Well, the rest of the night, Iran blitzed the Persian Gulf states. And when I say blitz with a capital pew pew. Okay, let's take a look at the Iranian strikes yesterday. Iran attacked Bahrain, Qatar, Jordan, Kuwait. And when they hit it, apparently they are getting more hits than they ever had before. Bahrain, they're not stupid. Yes, they fired at the Sheikh Issa Air Base. Yes, they fired at the Al Sakr Air Base. Yeah, halas, no problem. Those are big ones. They didn't even waste any more missiles or drones at U.S. Navy Central Command Forward, because that's just a pile of rubble right now. So they said, how do we hurt the Bahrainis in such a way that we get them? Well, first, the ballistic missile attacks were aimed at the Patriot batteries' radars. So they are trying to destroy the Patriot missile batteries. But then a barrage of missiles and drones hit the BAPCO. That's the Bahrain Petroleum Company oil refinery, a refinery in Bahrain. So they have heavily damaged. There are big black smoke clouds over Bahrain. They have damaged the BAPCO oil refinery, and that is going to hurt the global oil market. And what I find interesting about the Iranians is these guys really know how to twist the pressure up incrementally. It's like, oh, well, we've damaged your bases as far as we're concerned. Why don't we just cause no diesel, no petrol, no propane, and all of your fucking oil exports stop? How's that?
Yeah.
Right? And they start with the smallest company. Wajeeh, what's the price of oil?
WTI is at 81. Meanwhile, Brent crude is at 86. Marban is at 80. OPEC is at 86. Oman is at 79.
That's almost a $15 and $20 per barrel jump in the last 7 days. Thank you, Donald Trump. You know he's making money off this somehow. It has to.
But
okay, so
just important on Bahrain, Malcolm. Important on Bahrain.
Yes.
I saw reporting that the Iranians had also struck the causeway that we talked about yesterday, the bridge linking. I haven't been able to confirm it. Can you confirm it, or is it still in the possibility bracket?
I have that. I actually have that written down under a Saudi block that the what is it, the Prince Abdullah Causeway. Wajeeh,
Yeah.
can you take a look at that? You're the only one who has an active computer. That the causeway was struck. We talked about it yesterday. They blow that thing up. They're going to have Saudis are going to be big mad because there's at least like 10,000 Saudis that are, all their hookers and blow are in Bahrain,
Oh,
and they
the
have houses
bridge.
there,
There has been a
and they come
report
over with
that
this.
there has been a report that the bridge was hit. I know exactly what you're talking about. I
Can you check and see if it's been confirmed?
No, nothing has been
Tamam.
confirmed
It's
yet.
Okay.
Okay, I think it's like the Prince Abdullah Causeway or something like that. Yeah, because that would be bad for drinking Saudis. I mean, I've seen guys down there. Watch, you wouldn't believe this. I'm sure you would. I've seen old guys, right, old ass
Uh-huh.
alcoholics down there drinking in their dishdashes and abayas,
Oh yeah.
which usually they get out of those. They get out of their clothes and bonk, 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 Jack Daniels and Johnny Walker, and that is, it is a reality. Okay, there are people there, who they can afford to cross that causeway, go to these big, super expensive clubs. Bahrain has been wet forever. They've been forever since I was like 19. First time I went out there, or 20, and Gulf Airline, Gulf Hotel was the big place back then.
According to
One
the
other
latest
thing,
updates, the Saudi government denies that the bridge was hit.
Okay.
okay. I also forgot to put on the strike roster Oman, because I did talk about those radars, but there was a more significant hit yesterday. The Iranians apparently put a cruise missile or a long-range drone loitering munition into the Marriott Hotel in Duqim, Oman. We have mentioned Duqim, Oman before. And why have we mentioned it? Because the U.S. Special Operations vessel, the Ocean Trader, which is a supposedly clandestine vessel, it was a merchant ship. They put a cover on, put helipads, landing craft on it, has been docked in Duqim. And apparently the Iranians got intelligence that U.S. service members were staying in the Marriott on the top floors, and they put Shahed drones into it. Now, Malcolm, that's amazing. How do you know that? You guys will not believe this report. I shit you not. You will not believe it. Iranian state television, to confirm their battle damage assessment, called the hotel and said, "We had reservations there, but we heard it was hit by bombs. Is this true?" And the reception said, "Yes, sir. Only structural damage. The fire is out." They did it live on Iranian television. There's a video of it. Watch it.
Really?
Where
Oh,
they called
shit.
the hotel and said, "We have reservations. Is it okay to come there? We hear there was a bombing." And they go, "Yes, there was a bombing with a little fire, structural damage, but the other rooms are fine. Please continue your
Oh,
reservation.
dear.
Welcome to the Marriott at Duqim."
Oh,
Oh my God, this is the story you couldn't make up. I'm not joking. Go watch the video. It's on X, and the guy is live on television, like, "Let's call the hotel." And the IRGC's taking notes, like, "Damn, we hit the wrong floors." That means everybody's going to be on that ship. So I have a bad feeling that ship is going to, better be getting underway. They know where you are, bros. Okay,
yeah.
that's Oman. Finally, in Iran itself, the energy infrastructure, we have not confirmed that power plants have been hit, other than the power plant in, did I talk about the water desalination plant? No, I didn't, because I only went through
No, you
Bahrain and
missed
Oman.
that
Oh,
one.
we missed it.
Qatar. Okay, keep your shirt on. Qatar. Al Udeid
Yes.
Airport, U.S. Central Command Air Base, got hit with 4 direct hits, which were visually confirmed by video. Now, Jordan at the Muwafaq al-Salti Air Base, the Iranians claim that they struck the radar site for the Patriots, the 160th, 150th Special Operations Air Wing, the U.S. Night Stalker helicopter. They attacked the ramp with U.S. Special Operations helicopters. And what else did they hit? Radar, soft helos, Patriot radar. Okay. Air search radar, Patriot radar. Kuwait was struck with drones and missiles last night. The biggest priority thing they hit with Shahed drones, they hit a water desalinization plant and power plant. That brought you got to remember, since the beginning of the war, Kuwait has six water desal plants. 2 of them were damaged. This is the 3rd one damaged. They said there was a fire there. It was brought under control. Part of the city lost power. They will bring it back. We don't know what the damage is to the desalinization plant, but it was a warning.
What did I tell you?
No, tell us again.
Yeah.
Tell us again.
I literally said it yesterday and the day before that if the United States starts attacking Iranian infrastructure, Iran will start attacking water desalination plants for the Gulf states because 90 to 99% of these countries all of these countries depend 90 to 99% for their water consumption out of these desalination plants. If you attack the water desalination plant, these countries that are dependent on foreign labor, 100% on foreign labor, then these foreign laborers will be forced to leaving the country because even the people who are from that country won't have access to clean water. Nevertheless, the foreign workers.
Foreign laborers, I told you, if all 6 of those plants go down hard, you will see it will be like the invasion of Kuwait 1991. Every car, BMWs, Mercedes, Rolls Royces will all be rolling down into Khafji, Saudi Arabia, or down towards Riyadh. It will look, and they're all going to fucking United Arab Emirates, right? So they can go drink. So they'll all be rolling south into Saudi Arabia, thousands of cars after another, because they cannot live without water. And that water desal is all their water. Brown water, fresh water. You got to clean that up. And if you don't have it, you can't truck in enough to keep the population alive.
And if our audience go back to day 37 or day 38 of the war, the Iranians did the exact same. And that was some of the strikes that, made the Gulf countries put pressure on Trump to get into the ceasefire mode. And this is why the strike on the desalination plant is a really, really important escalation point from the Iranians, because they will only, turn up the heat and until the Gulf countries start putting pressure on Trump. And as far as I recall, I can't remember the exact figure right now, the total in the Gulf countries of these desalination plants, is it 50, 53, something like that? It's around about there anyway. And
they're 80% dependent. If you include that, the United Arab Emirates is only 40% dependent on desalinated water, but Dubai's 100%. Right?
90 to 99%. Even 90 to 99%. These countries are dependent on desalination plant. Ask me.
I said all of them collectively. I'm saying they all use water desal, and they are very easy structures to destroy. Okay.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia were not hit. So I guess the United Arab Emirates was feeling a little froggy. There has been visual confirmation of a Chinese-built United Arab Emirates drone over Bandar Abbas that was apparently a one-way attack drone. So they are toying around the edges with the United States. And we'll see if the Iranians want to draw them back into it. Okay, Bahrain, Qatar, Jordan, Kuwait, UAE, Oman. Woof, that's it. That is, look at that. That took us 50 minutes just to get through the attacks that went on yesterday. Iran, on the other hand, is asking the nation to turn off their air conditioning half the time to conserve electricity. They think that the United States is going to hit the grid. They want to get people acclimatized to it. They're asking people to turn their air conditioning off half of the time. So that is it for yesterday's significant activities. Let's go to questions. I have to go off camera for questions, but you can still hear me because I have to go into the Substack app. Let's see if that brings me here. And I'm off. Actually, can I get to the questions from there? Wajeeh, can you see the questions on the Substack app on the chat?
Pulling it.
Live chat. I'm looking at, there's a lot of questions, a lot of comments. Good one, like diplomacy is not bombs. Well, correct. Diplomacy is not bombs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it true that Larry Johnson says on Mario Knowful there?
Someone says, even though, ask the question, it's about Larry Johnson.
Yeah, someone's asking, is it true that Larry Johnson says on Mario Knowful that the Iranian needs to target 10 bases and the Americans will be SOL?
I mean, I'm sure Larry Johnson said that. You know, Larry Johnson's former CIA guy. He's been out forever. You know, he dabbles a lot in that area. This is, you know, he's the guy who said that he has sources that says that Iran has 5 nukes already. Really? Because if Iran had 5 nukes already, you would detonate one to show the world, and then you would say, oh, yeah, we got 4 more. You just don't know which missile they're in.
What a load of nonsense.
Or where they are. But, you know, also, if you don't know, you don't know, right? I mean, are you down in that tunnel? Were you read into the nuclear weapons security program for the Iranian Revolutionary Guards? No. So that gets you what you get. Okay, other than that, next question.
He's the kind of CIA guy who would be Ahmed Chalabi, as we spoke about at the beginning of this war. Being Ahmed Chalabi means you get a source and then you believe whatever the fuck this source is saying. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, you know, there's a lot of guys out there. Yes. Watch the next question.
I was just going to ask you the next question.
Larry?
Malcolm, what's your thoughts on the Trump administration's attempt to dismantle the International Criminal Court in light of their committing what might be called a war crime in Iran and in the Pacific?
Yeah, the United States helped establish the International Criminal Court. And their dismantling of it is that they want no accountability for him, his family, or his crimes anywhere in the world. Again, I've said this before. Now this goes over to that 1 hour politics that I want to do with the United States, because so many questions people are putting up are political, you know, about what's the ins and outs of the U.S. system. But if I were the next president candidate, I would run on reestablishing America in the International Criminal Court with American judges so that everyone can be held accountable. And, you know, say, hey, no, previous administration, you are going to be held accountable. You're not allowed to get a pass by saying, oh, the United States jurisprudence system is so good, we don't use the International Criminal Court. Well, we've now proven that it's not. It's reliable. It's not reliable at all. You got to use the ICC. You know, I mean, go ahead, please.
Just for starters, you know, who thinks that a country that is not a member of the ICC can disband the ICC? You know, just because we have a government in the United States that doesn't care about international law, etc., then it doesn't mean the rest of us will accept disbanding anything. So a load of nonsense.
Yeah, they don't, and they apparently don't care about international law.
Exactly.
One or the other,
This
right?
this question
Okay, next
says,
question. Keep it on the Middle East, please.
if Iran were to win this war, then what do you think they would want from the region? How would this reshape the region or the world? I would re-ask this
Well,
question is how this war is just in general reshaped the Middle East altogether.
well, it's Iran is technically one. We're going through rounds. What they would want, $300 billion. What do they want? No talk about the nuclear program. What do they want? They want $24 billion in cash dropped in a pallet, flown to Tehran. Start with $3 billion from the United Arab Emirates. And then they want operational control of the Strait of Hormuz, which they have.
Mm-hmm.
No more U.S. warships in there, which they have. And to withdraw U.S. forces from the Middle East. And that's probably going to happen. So I think they're getting pretty much everything they've asked for. They got that in the MOU, except for the withdrawal of U.S. That's not true. U.S. forces were supposed to withdraw within 60 days, the ones that came for the war. So technically, Iran got everything they wanted. Now they're going to have to keep it up, fight for it, and pressure the oil industry to keep that.
Yeah.
This question says, did Iran really put a bounty on our beloved supreme leader, His Majesty Baba Trump? Yes, Iran did put a bounty on his head.
Of course they did. Of course they did.
Baba Trump, is the last guy I heard called Baba was a Liberian voodoo master. Okay.
No, I don't know if you know this, but if you ever paid attention to the people in the Gulf states, they usually call the head of their state Baba. Like King Abdullah, we called him Baba Abdullah. King Salman, we call him Baba Salman. Baba. So anyone that I'm just adopting the fact that we call our supreme leaders Babas. I'm just using the same terminologies because I'm not a U.S. citizen. I have to be respectful for our His Majesty.
Yes, exactly.
Baba Sheikh.
Sheikh Trump. على راسي على راسي والله.
Hit us with another question, Wajeeh.
Oh, let me scroll down. For amphibious assault, will we be using long boats or the captain's pence?
Gig? Captain's gig? Are we gonna? No. That's a funny one. Are we going to be away the longboats? Right? With whales off in the distance. Every ship has longboats, by the way. They're not called longboats anymore. All right. There's the captain has a boat called a gig. The large boats that can take like 150 guys, even though they have seats, are called barges. We use amphibious craft, landing craft like LCMs, which is landing craft mechanized, LCU, landing craft utility. And their biggest one that we carry is called an LCAC, LCAC. An LCAC is actually a hovercraft with ramps at both ends. They can carry tanks or trucks or logistical, men, equipment, supplies. And those LCACs are fast. They fly in, whoosh, over the water and come up onto the dirt because an LCAC is cushioning air and it can fly over everything except heavy, rough terrain. It has to fly over relatively smooth terrain, but it can bring 60-ton tank onto that. We do have small craft, rigid hull boats, which are raiding craft, or like the 11-meter rigid hull boats the SEALs come in on. Smaller craft like the rubber raiding craft RRCs. There's a whole pantheon of them. Just depends on who's landing. If it's SEALs landing on Farsi Island, which is one scenario I gave to Mario Nuafal yesterday. They would be coming in on ribs, rigid hull inflatable boats, and what they would do is they would fly a C-130 to like Muwafaq al-Salti Air Base, and they would load up 3 or 4 of these ribs into a C-130 with the 4 special boat squadron guys and, the 15-man SEAL platoon, 16-man SEAL platoon. And they would all parachute all of that into the middle of the ocean. And then those boats would come active and they would crawl into them. And then 4 or 5 of these boats would go steaming in to Farsi Island or the oil platform or Karg Island. And that saves you from having to have, 200 mile of fuel on board, right? Which they also can drop fuel tanks, which are just gas cans, right? And then you can go in, drop off your SEALs really fast, sit offshore with your machine guns, and the SEALs would swim in and come up in the middle of the night, right, out of the water in the dark, and carry out their raids or be marking beaches and making sure the beaches are secure for follow-on forces from the Rangers or usually if it's Karg Island, it'll be the Rangers, right? The Rangers will come in as a helicopter assault force, but the SEALs and MARSOC, Marine Special Operations Command, will already be on the shore edge, right? And maybe even the CIA paramilitaries have, gotten somebody in there, doubtful. And then they just helicopter in and then storm off. And then you can bring in the freaking 82nd Airborne or whatever you want to come in by helicopter. It's all screwy. Let's see the next question, and then we're going to take a break.
Everyone's talking about Iran using missiles and drones on U.S. invasion army forces. What about the good old artillery? Seems like all these good old mountains would be bursting with the artillery against U.S. soldiers. What do you think about that?
The artillery, sorry, Iran depends on, you're talking about tube artillery, right? The artillery guns. Tube artillery is used by the Artesh, the regular Iranian army. And those formations are probably being watched very carefully. But multiple rocket launch systems, that's, where you could cover the top with a tarp, right? Which has like 40 or 60 rockets. That would be the principal kind of artillery that you would use in a ground operation. You got to get within 40 kilometers of them, right? That's about 28, 29 nautical miles in order to bombard those targets. But there's hundreds of them all over the place,
I was thinking, nothing beats the new modern drones, and I thought you would be able to speak on that. Kids with flip-flops now could take some of the, most advanced, most trained U.S. soldiers on the battlefield just using drones.
Yeah, well, you can. And those are very short range, right? Up to 20, 30 kilometers if they're fiber optic, 40, 50 kilometers. But most of the drones that you don't want to have to deal with are short range, right? 5, 10 kilometers, and they come zooming in on you, FPV, and start bombarding you. That is not healthy. Okay, well, that will be the last question, Wajeeh. I'm going to let everybody go on to their appropriate holiday while I go back to work, tracking down all these activities out here in the Gulf. Yes, Wajeeh, you have a question?
Please, please, please be careful. If anyone is calling themselves Wajeeh Lion, Malcolm Nance, or Jacob Carswell and is reaching out to you and is calling, this is Wajeeh, and I want you to contact me, and this is my phone number. Please be careful. We usually don't do that. And people are copycatting us. They're going out and they're saying that they are us. Please, please, please don't click any link someone sends you. Don't give them information. Don't pay someone money if they tell you to pay them money until you really confirm that it's us. There are copycats out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've already got an example of somebody using Wajeeh's been a voicemail from a copy of your voice from the show, asking, most likely going to ask for money. I have this problem on TikTok and Facebook. there were 13 impersonators on TikTok. 13. And 3 times they got my account closed. Right? They would come on there and say, Malcolm Nance, da, 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 da. I had to send in passport, photographs. Then there's a video permanently on my TikTok saying, I never asked for money, and I spell out the name of my official account. Someone has used Wajeeh's account, and there may be a guy out there who's Wajeeh _ lion, and that underscore changes the name entirely. So never believe anybody. We only ask for one thing. If you want to become a paid subscriber, become a paid subscriber, right? That's secure. That's associated with this. That's $7 a month. You Canadians, I am looking into why the Canadians charge you 14. I haven't quite figured out. $14 a month Canadian is about $9 US a month. So there's some exchange thing going on. I've asked Stripe to give
There
me
is a
some idea of
setting
what's
that
happening.
you have to go through the payments where they tell you if you want to. There's a way you could do that in the setting payment method where you allow the system to charge
Okay.
one force price regardless of where it is at around the world.
Okay.
Okay. We'll check into that. Jacob? All right.
Yeah, just
Guys,
to
we'll see you
announce
all
tonight.
tomorrow.
Tonight, I have a Ukraine Q&A after Defense Minister Fedorov was sacked and is trying to they're trying to get him replaced somehow. I'll discuss that. I'll also go over some of the recent strikes and, much of the support from the Europeans and Canadians that we've seen over the last few weeks. And that is at 8 o'clock Central European time, 2 p.m. Eastern time. So do join me for paid subscribers.
All right. Yeah, great. Guys, join Jacob. Get buffed up on that. We will see you this time tomorrow in a couple of hours. I'm going to get my notebook out and start writing down every attack again. So if you're watching this on YouTube, thanks for watching on YouTube. Become a subscriber on YouTube. Push it out to all your friends on YouTube. We're trying to hit 250,000. We're at 175,000 subscribers. That's substantially higher than we have been since the beginning of the war. And on Substack, if you really like this podcast, share it with your friends on Substack. And please, if you feel confident and you is not impacting your limited income, become a paid subscriber. You get benefits of chatting with people, being part of the family. And as you saw, we had our Paris meetup for paid subscribers. It was super fun. And we had insanely expensive drinks. So let's, I'm not buying 93,000 people drinks. I'm sorry. But thank you very much for coming. We will see you tomorrow. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.